Good day, everyone. Today, we will be discussing about active and passive voice, everything that you need to know. Questions that you may ask may be, what's the difference? What should I use? Why does it matter? So let's start. Consider the following sentences. Mary helped me. I was helped by Mary. There's no practically difference in the meaning of these two sentences. These are two different ways of presenting the same thing. But in the first sentence, the subject performs the action, while in the second sentence, the subject of the verb is acted upon. Thus, the voice shows whether the subject of a verb acts or is acted upon. Both sentences have the same meaning, but the constructions are different. In the sentence, Mary helped me, Mary, the subject, is the doer of the action. She does something. What does she do? She helps. Here, the verb helps says what the subject Mary does. In the sentence, I was helped by Mary, the subject I is the receiver of the action. Something is done to me. I am helped. So when the subject of a verb acts, the verb is said to be in the active voice. When the object of the active voice becomes the subject, the verb is said to be in the passive voice. So the sentence, Mary helped me, is in active voice, and the sentence, I was helped by Mary, is in passive voice. Check out the examples below. Active voice, he loves me. Passive, I am loved by him. Active voice, he killed the spider. Passive voice, the spider was killed by him. Active voice, I will buy a bag. Passive voice, a bag will be bought by me. Active voice, Ted broke the window. Passive voice, the window was broken by Ted. Active voice, people speak English. Passive voice, English is spoken by people. Let's proceed to changing the active verb into the passive. When a sentence in the active voice is converted to the passive voice, the following changes occur. First, the object of the active verb becomes the subject of the passive verb. Let's have these examples. Alice invited John. It's in active voice. The subject is Alice. The verb is invited, and the object is John. Let's have the next one. John was invited by Alice. It's in passive voice. Note that John, which is the object in the active sentence, became the subject of the passive sentence. The verb became was invited, and Alice, the subject in the active sentence, became the object in the passive sentence. Next, the verb changes its form according to the number and person of the subject. Let's have this example. I have written a novel. It's an active voice. The subject in the active sentence is I. If we go back to the rule, I takes a plural form of the verb, which is have written. When we transform the active sentence into passive, the object, which is a novel, became the subject. And since a novel is singular, the verb should also be in singular form. Has been written. Let's have the next one. The subject of the verb in the active voice becomes the object of the verb in the passive voice. This object is usually introduced with a preposition like by. Let's have these examples. They built this house in 1990. If we transform this into passive sentence, it will become, this house was built by them in 1990. But take note that not all passive sentences have the preposition by. We do not include by when the doer of the action is unknown. For example, the money was stolen. The doer of the action is people in general. For example, black cats are believed to bring bad luck. The doer of the action is completely unimportant. For example, the bridge was built in 1889. It's probably a construction company. The active verb changes its form to become the passive verb. Let's have this example. I am writing a letter. It's an active voice. The verb is am writing. A letter is being written by me. It's a passive voice. The verb is being written. All verbs in the passive sentences must be in its participle form. In the active sentence, the verb is in present continuous. So when we transform it into passive, the verb will be in past continuous form. The pronouns, when these act as subject, are changed as given below. I will become me. We will become us. You will become you. She will become her. He will become him. They will become them. And it will become it. Let's proceed to when to use the passive voice. The active voice is more direct than the passive. With the active voice, you learn who or what is responsible for the action at the beginning of the sentence. In other words, when the subject acts, the verb is active. Since active voice is what we often use, since it's direct and it's not awkward, when can we use the passive voice? The passive is appropriate for typical situations. For example, robots are used for repetitive action. To avoid direct responsibility. For example, a mistake was made. When who performed the action of the verb isn't known or is irrelevant. For example, the decision was made. For emphasis. For example, the yellow car was destroyed by the bus. Let's have the active and passive voice exercise. Sentences are given in the active voice. Change them into the passive voice. Let's man stole a piece of bread. Next, she taught me a lesson. Next, they praised the boy. Next, she has won the first prize. And last, I was reading a novel. Let's check your answers. The first one, the man stole a piece of bread. What is the answer? A piece of bread was stolen by the man. Let's have the second one. She taught me a lesson. Answer, I was taught a lesson by her. Number 3, they praised the boy. Answer, the boy was praised by them. Number 4, she has won the first prize. Answer, the first prize was won by her. And number 5, I was reading a novel. Answer, a novel was being read by me. That's all for today. I hope you learned a lot from our lesson. Thank you for listening.